Divorce Tech CEO comforts crying child at the bus stop, stunned when he sees the child's mother. She froze when she saw him, grocery bags slipping from her fingers to scatter across the wet sidewalk. Her hair was shorter now, pulled back in a practical ponytail instead of the long waves he used to run his fingers through. Have you ever had a moment that split your life into before and after? Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. Warm welcome to the family. Enjoy the story. The rain-soaked little boy clutching a drawing of his father had no idea he was about to destroy a billionaire's carefully constructed life. When Logan Pierce knelt down to help, he saw his own hazel eyes staring back at him, in the face of a child he'd never met. The woman who called the boy's name was Naomi, his ex-wife who vanished 7 years ago, taking more than just his heart when she left. What would you do if you discovered you had a 6-year-old son you never knew existed? Have you ever had your past collide with your present in the most unexpected way? Have you ever wondered what secrets the people closest to you kept hidden? This is about more than missed birthdays and bedtime stories. This is about a mother's desperate choice and a father's ultimate betrayal by his own family. Stay with me as we uncover how one rainy afternoon in Charlotte changed 3 lives forever. The most successful day of Logan Pierce's career became the most devastating moment of his life, all because of 30 seconds at a bus stop. Logan stepped out of his Tesla Model S, rain pelting his $1,000 suit as he ended the call that just made him $50 million richer. Bytraver's latest software had been acquired by Microsoft, and at 32, he was officially Charlotte's youngest tech billionaire. The champagne was waiting back at his penthouse, along with board members ready to celebrate. But success felt hollow lately. Empty penthouse, empty bed, empty life filled with nothing but numbers on screens and congratulations from people who wanted something from him. That's when he heard it. Soft crying behind the glass bus shelter. A little boy sat hunched on the bench, soaked through a Superman t-shirt, clutching a crumpled piece of paper against his chest. Maybe 6 years old, with dark curls plastered to his forehead and tears mixing with raindrops on his cheeks. Logan had never been good with kids, but something about the scene tugged at him. He approached slowly, the way you might approach a wounded animal. "Hey there, buddy. You okay?" The boy looked up, and Logan's world tilted sideways. Hazel eyes, exactly like his own. The same dimple in the left cheek that Logan saw every morning in the mirror. Even the way the kid's lip curved when he was upset. Logan had made that exact expression in childhood photos. "I'm waiting for my daddy," the boy whispered, holding up the drawing. It showed a stick figure in a business suit with "Daddy" written in red crayon underneath. "Mama says he's busy with important work, but maybe he'll come today." Logan's throat went dry. The resemblance was impossible to ignore, but it couldn't be real. He'd never. "Elijah, baby, I told you not to run off." That voice, soft but strong, with just a hint of the South that she'd never quite shaken. Logan turned around, and 7 years dissolved like sugar in rain. Naomi, she froze when she saw him, grocery bags slipping from her fingers to scatter across the wet sidewalk. Her hair was shorter now, pulled back in a practical ponytail instead of the long waves he used to run his fingers through. She wore scrubs, hospital scrubs, and looked tired in a way that went deeper than missing sleep. But she was still beautiful. Still the woman who used to trace patterns on his chest at 2 a.m. and whisper dreams about the family they'd built together. Logan. His name fell from her lips like a prayer she'd forgotten how to say. The little boy, Elijah, looked between them with confusion brightening his tear-stained face. "Mama, do you know the nice man?" Naomi's eyes never left Logan's. "We used to know each other, baby, a long time ago." Logan stared at the child who looked exactly like him, then at the woman who disappeared without explanation 7 years ago, taking his heart and apparently much more with her. Have you ever had a moment that split your life into before and after? Tell me about it in the comments below. "We need to talk," Logan managed. Naomi gathered Elijah close, protective instincts flaring. "No, we don't." As she walked away with the boy, Logan's phone buzzed with a text from his mother. "We need to talk. Now." Suddenly, the rain felt colder. Some betrayals come from enemies. The worst ones come from the people who claim to love you most. Logan's hands shook as he climbed the marble steps of the Pierce family mansion. The same steps he'd played on as a child, the same door he'd walked through for Sunday dinners and holiday celebrations. But now the house felt different, foreign, like a beautiful lie he'd been living inside for 32 years. Eleanor Pierce waited in her study, perfectly composed as always. Silver hair in an elegant chignon, pearls at her throat, the kind of old-money elegance that opened doors and closed hearts with equal efficiency. "You saw her," she said without looking up from her desk. "Not a question. How did you?" Logan stopped. Of course she knew. Eleanor knew everything that happened in Charlotte. She'd built a network of information over 4 decades of being Mrs. Richard Pierce, wife of the late real estate mogul. "Sit down, Logan." "I'll stand." His voice came out harder than intended. "Tell me about Naomi." Eleanor's fingers drummed against the mahogany desk. "What exactly do you want to know?" "Everything, starting with why she left me 7 years ago without a word." His mother opened a drawer and pulled out a manila folder, thick with documents and photographs. She slid it across the desk like evidence in a trial. "She didn't leave you, Logan. I paid her to go." The words hit him like physical blows. Logan sank into the leather chair he'd refused moments before, staring at bank statements and signed agreements that turned his love story into a business transaction. $200,000, Eleanor continued, her voice steady as a judge reading a sentence, plus medical expenses and a clean apartment across town. In exchange, she would disappear quietly and never contact you again. Logan's chest felt tight. "What?" "Because you were 25 and about to inherit everything your father built. Because she was a nursing student from the wrong side of town with no family money and no connections. Because she was black." The truth sat heavy between them. Eleanor's silence was answer enough. Logan flipped through the papers, seeing Naomi's signature on documents that broke his heart in real time. But there was something else: medical records, prenatal vitamins, ultrasound appointments. She was pregnant. The words barely made it past his throat. "She was pregnant," Eleanor confirmed. 6 weeks along, when she came to me asking for help with your father's medical bills. I saw an opportunity to solve 2 problems at once. Logan remembered that time. His father's sudden heart attack, the stress of taking over Pierce Industries, the way Naomi had grown distant and worried. He thought she was pulling away because of the pressure. He'd never imagined she was carrying his child. Where did she go? I don't know. The agreement was that she would leave Charlotte and never return. I assumed she had taken care of the pregnancy. Logan's vision went red. You assumed she'd kill my child? I assumed she made the practical choice. She was young, alone, facing single motherhood with no support system. Logan stood so fast his chair crashed backward. "Get out. This is my house. Get out." Eleanor gathered her papers with dignity intact. At the doorway, she paused. She took the money, Logan. She chose to leave. What would you do if you discovered your own family destroyed your chance at happiness? Drop a broken heart emoji if you felt that betrayal. But the bank records in his hands told a different story. The deposit stopped after 6 months. Every penny had been returned. Finding someone who doesn't want to be found is hard. Finding someone who was paid to disappear is nearly impossible. Logan sat in his Tesla outside a rundown office building on East Boulevard, staring at the faded sign. Marcus Webb, private investigator. 3 days had passed since the bus stop encounter. 3 sleepless nights filled with questions that ate at him like acid. The office smelled like old coffee and broken dreams. Marcus Webb looked exactly like Central Casting would order for a PI. Rumpled suit, 5 o'clock shadow at noon. Eyes that had seen too much of humanity's worst impulses. "Let me get this straight," Marcus said, leaning back in a chair that squeaked with every movement. "Your mama paid your baby mama to disappear. We didn't know about the kid, and now you want to find them both." That's the short version. And you're Logan Pierce, the tech guy. That's right. Marcus whistled low. This is going to cost you. Money's not the issue. It never is for guys like you. Marcus pulled out a legal pad that had seen better decades. Tell me about Naomi. Full name, last known address, family members, anything that might help. Logan found himself describing a woman he thought he knew completely. Naomi Williams, 25 when she left, nursing student at UNCC, parents died in a car crash when she was 16, raised by her grandmother, who passed away their senior year of college. She had nobody, Logan realized as he spoke. When her grandmother died, she was completely alone. Makes sense why she'd take your mother's deal. Scared girl with no safety net, facing single motherhood. Marcus scribbled notes. Any friends? Co-workers? Church connections? She volunteered at the free clinic downtown. Said she wanted to help people who couldn't afford healthcare. The memory stung. Naomi's compassion had been one of the things he loved most about her. Good. That's a thread we can pull. Marcus looked up. What exactly are you hoping to accomplish here? Custody? Relationship? Revenge against Mama Dearest? Logan had been asking himself the same question. I want to meet my son. I don't know, make things right somehow. Making things right and getting what you want aren't always the same thing. Marcus leaned forward. From what you've told me, this woman sacrificed everything to give you a clean break. She might not appreciate you showing up to complicate her life. The words hit harder than Logan expected. You think I should leave them alone? I think you should be real clear about your motivations before we start kicking over rocks. This ain't just about you anymore. 2 days later, Marcus called with an address. Found her. His voice crackled through Logan's phone. She's been right here in Charlotte the whole time. East Side, working 3 jobs to keep her head above water. Kids in 1st grade at Eastway Elementary. Logan wrote down the address with shaking hands. What else? She returned every penny of your mother's money within 6 months. Took out student loans instead, worked nights at the hospital, days at a daycare. Woman's tougher than a $2 steak. Have you ever realized how much someone sacrificed for you without your knowledge? Share your story below. There's something else, Marcus continued. The kid's bedroom is covered in drawings. All the same thing, a man in a business suit with daddy written underneath. When Marcus handed him Naomi's address, Logan's hands shook. But it was the photo of Elijah's bedroom, covered in drawings of daddy in a suit, that broke him completely. 7 years of silence ended with 3 words. What do you want? The apartment complex on Eastway Drive had seen better decades. Peeling paint, patched sidewalks, the kind of place where hope came in monthly rent payments and grocery money stretched until payday. Logan's Tesla looked as out of place as a tuxedo at a barbecue. He climbed to the 2nd floor, each step heavier than the last. Apartment 2B. Children's voices echoed from behind thin walls. Someone's television too loud. The smell of cooking oil and dreams deferred hanging in the air. Logan knocked. Footsteps approached, then stopped. He imagined Naomi checking the peephole, her sharp intake of breath when she recognized him. The door opened just wide enough for her to stand in the gap, body blocking his view of the life she'd built without him. What do you want, Logan? She looked tired. Not just end of a long day tired, but bone-deep exhaustion that came from years of carrying weight meant for 2 people. Her scrubs had been replaced by jeans and an oversized sweater, but she still looked beautiful in the way that had always made his chest tight. I want to talk about Elijah. There's nothing to talk about. He's my son. He's my son. Her voice carried 7 years of midnight feedings, scraped knees, bedtime stories, and birthday parties where she'd blown out candles and made wishes for a father who wasn't there. You don't get to show up and claim him because guilt finally caught up with you. Logan stepped closer, and she didn't back down. The familiar scent of her perfume, vanilla and something uniquely her, hit him like a physical blow. They were standing too close. The way they used to win arguments turned into something else entirely. I didn't know, he said quietly. I swear to God, Naomi, I didn't know about him. Something flickered in her dark eyes. Doubt, maybe, or hope she was afraid to feel. Your mother made it very clear that I was supposed to disappear, that you'd be better off without me dragging you down. My mother was wrong. Was she? Naomi's chest rose and fell with angry breathing, and Logan remembered how her pulse used to flutter at the base of her throat when she was upset. You had everything, Logan. Money, connections, a future handed to you on a silver platter. What could I have offered you besides complications? You could have offered me choice. The words hung between them like a bridge neither was ready to cross. You don't get to show up and play daddy because guilt finally caught up with you, she said, but her voice cracked on the word daddy. That's when a small voice stopped everything cold. Mama, is that him? Is that my daddy? Elijah stood in the hallway behind her, hair still damp from his bath, wearing Spider-Man pajamas and clutching the same crumpled drawing from the bus stop. His hazel eyes, Logan's eyes, moved between them with the kind of hope that could break hearts or heal them. When someone you once loved shows up unexpectedly, what's your first instinct? Fight or flight? Tell me in the comments. Naomi's carefully constructed walls began to crack. Elijah, baby, go back to your room. But Mama, is that him? Elijah asked again, and Logan felt something fundamental shift inside his chest. As Logan turned to leave, a small voice stopped him cold. Mama, is that him? Is that my daddy? Elijah stood in the hallway, clutching the same drawing from the bus stop. The hardest conversations sometimes happen with the smallest people, and they're always the most honest. Logan knelt down to Elijah's eye level, his expensive suit wrinkling against the worn carpet. Up close, the resemblance was even more striking. The same stubborn cowlick that refused to lie flat, the same way of tilting his head when curious. Elijah, you know my name? The boy's voice carried wonder, like Logan knowing something so basic was magic. Your mama told me. I am Logan. I know who you are. Elijah held up his drawing, smoothing the wrinkled edges with careful 6-year-old fingers. I draw you all the time. Mama says you're busy with important work, but I thought maybe you'd want to see my room sometime. Logan's throat closed. Behind him, he heard Naomi's sharp intake of breath. I would love to see your room, buddy. Elijah's face lit up like Christmas morning. Really? I have Hot Wheels and books and a dinosaur that roars when you press his belly. His name is Rex, but I call him Chompers because Rex sounds too serious for a dinosaur who likes to play. The words tumbled out in the breathless way children share their treasures, and Logan found himself smiling for the first time in days. Chomper sounds like a perfect name. Elijah, Naomi said softly, why don't you go get ready for bed? It's getting late. But Mama, can Daddy come see Chompers? Just for a minute. The word Daddy hit Logan like lightning. This beautiful boy, his son, was calling him Daddy like it was the most natural thing in the world. I don't think, Naomi started. Please. Elijah's eyes moved between them. I won't take long. I promise. Logan looked at Naomi, seeing her internal struggle written across her face. Protection warring with the exhaustion of carrying everything alone. The desire to give her son what he wanted fighting against the fear of letting Logan too close. 5 minutes, she said finally. Elijah's room was small, but filled with love. Hand-me-down furniture painted bright blue, glow-in-the-dark stars stuck to the ceiling in constellation patterns, shelves lined with library books and discount store toys that had been loved into perfection. But it was the wall above his bed that stopped Logan cold. Dozens of drawings, all variations of the same theme. A tall figure in a business suit labeled Daddy in red crayon. Some showed them playing catch, others had them building towers with blocks. In one, they were eating ice cream together. In another, the Daddy figure was reading a bedtime story. I draw one every week, Elijah explained, climbing onto his bed to point at different pictures. This one is from when I lost my first tooth and wanted to show you. This one is from my birthday when I wished you would come to my party. And this one, he pointed to the newest drawing, still damp with fresh crayon. This one is from today, when I saw you at the bus stop. In the latest drawing, 3 figures stood together, a man, a woman, and a small boy between them, all holding hands. Logan sat down hard on the race car bed, overwhelmed by the weight of missed moments and impossible hopes. Elijah, he said carefully, do you know why I haven't been around? The boy's face grew serious. Mama says you didn't know about me, that sometimes grown-ups make mistakes that hurt people they love. What would you tell a child who asked why their parent left? How do you explain adult complications to innocent hearts? That's right, buddy. I made a big mistake and I'm sorry. But you're here now, Elijah said with the simple logic of childhood. That's what matters, right? When Elijah hugged Logan goodbye, whispering, "Will you come back tomorrow?" Naomi's carefully built walls began to crack. But Logan's phone was already ringing. His company was in crisis. While Logan learned to be a father, someone was systematically destroying everything he'd built as a CEO. The Bite River headquarters buzzed with controlled panic at 6 a.m. Logan's assistant Emma met him at the elevator. Her usually perfect composure cracked like a broken mirror. "The prototype leaked," she said without preamble. "Every line of code, every security feature. It's all over tech blogs and competitor websites." Logan's stomach dropped. The software they'd spent 3 years developing, the one Microsoft had just bought for $50 million, was now public domain, free for anyone to copy, modify, or steal. How bad is it? Microsoft's threatening to back out of the deal. The board called an emergency meeting for 8 o'clock. And Logan, Emma's voice dropped to a whisper. "They're talking about removing you as CEO." The boardroom felt like a courtroom, 12 faces around a mahogany table, all looking at Logan like he'd personally betrayed them. Men in expensive suits who'd made fortunes on his innovations, now ready to throw him under the bus to save their own investments. "This is a disaster," Marcus Hoffman, the lead investor, said without looking up from his tablet. "Stock price is down 30% since the leak hit the news. Our reputation is shot. We don't know how it happened yet. We know it happened on your watch," interrupted Sarah Chun, the only woman on the board and usually Logan's strongest supporter. 3 years of development, millions in investment, all gone because someone got access to your personal files. Personal files. Logan's blood turned cold. The leak hadn't come from the company's servers. It had come from his home computer, the one connected to his private network, the one only a handful of people could access. "I need to make some calls," Logan said, standing. "You need to fix this," Hoffman snapped, "or we'll find someone who can." Logan called Marcus Webb from his office, fingers shaking as he dialed. "The leak came from inside," Logan said when the PI answered. "Someone with access to my personal systems." How many people have that kind of access? Logan thought about it. His housekeeper, his assistant, his IT guy, and my mother. She has full access to everything. Silence on the other end. Then, why would she sabotage your own company? To prove I can't handle the pressure. To show that focusing on anything besides business leads to failure. Logan sank into his chair. She's trying to force me to choose between Bite River and Elijah. That's some next-level manipulation. Before Logan could respond, his office door burst open. Naomi stood there, still in her hospital scrubs, eyes blazing with protective fury. "What the hell did you do?" "Naomi, what are you?" Reporters showed up at Elijah's school. They're asking 6-year-olds about their daddy's business problems. "My son came home crying because kids were saying his father is a criminal." Logan felt the walls closing in. His company bleeding money, his reputation in ruins, and now the media dragging his son into the mess. "I didn't know they'd go after Elijah." Of course you didn't know. You don't know anything about being a father. But even as she said it, Logan could see the concern in her eyes. Not just for Elijah, but for him. Have you ever had to choose between career success and family? What did you choose, and do you regret it? "I'm going to fix this," Logan said. "How?" "By throwing more money at it. By making more promises you can't keep." The security footage revealed the leak's source. Someone with access to Logan's personal files. Someone who knew about Elijah before Logan did. The betrayal was closer than he imagined. The person trying to destroy Logan's company wasn't just a business rival. They were someone who knew his most intimate secrets. Logan stared at the security footage on his laptop screen, watching his mother's perfectly manicured fingers type commands into his home computer. The timestamp showed 3:47 a.m., 2 days ago. While he'd been lying awake thinking about Elijah, Eleanor had been in his study, downloading every file that could destroy him. She's been planning this for weeks. Marcus Webb said, pointing at the screen. "Look at how she moves around your system. She knows exactly where to find what she needs." The hotel room felt smaller with 3 adults and 1 sleeping child. Elijah had fallen asleep on the couch after dinner, exhausted from a day of questions he was too young to understand. Naomi sat beside him, one protective hand on his back, watching Logan's world crumble in real time. Why would she do this? Naomi asked quietly. Control, Logan said, the word tasting bitter. She spent my entire life pulling strings, making decisions for me. When I started asking questions about you, about Elijah, she saw it as a threat. His phone buzzed with another text from Eleanor. Come home. We need to discuss your future. She wants to meet, Logan said. Don't go, Naomi said immediately. It's a trap. I have to. She's not going to stop until she gets what she wants. Which is... Logan looked at his son, peaceful in sleep, one small hand clutching a toy car. Me, alone, focused entirely on business, with no distractions. Is that what we are to you? Naomi's voice was barely a whisper. Distractions? Logan moved to the couch, careful not to wake Elijah. He reached for Naomi's hand, and she didn't pull away. Her skin was soft, familiar, like coming home after a long journey. You're the opposite of a distraction. You're the first thing that's made sense in years. Their eyes met, and Logan saw the same hunger he felt reflected in her dark gaze. 7 years of separation, of wondering what if, of lying awake remembering how she used to fit perfectly against his chest. Logan, she whispered. I know. I feel it too. The space between them disappeared. His hand cupped her face, thumb tracing the cheekbone he'd memorized in college. She leaned into his touch like a flower finding sunlight. This is complicated, she breathed. Everything worth having is complicated. Their lips were inches apart when Logan's phone exploded with notifications. 20 missed calls, 50 text messages, news alerts flooding his screen. Eleanor had gone public. The headline scrolled past like a nightmare. Tech CEO's secret son scandal. Hidden child surfaces as Bite River collapses. Logan Pierce's baby mama drama. But the worst one made Naomi go pale. Gold-digging ex returns to claim billionaire's fortune. She leaked everything, Logan said, scrolling through article after article. Our divorce records, the payoff, even photos of you and Elijah. Naomi pulled her hand away. She's trying to make me look like someone who only wants money. I know. Logan's jaw clenched. She's painting you as the villain and herself as the protector of family values. What would you do if someone threatened the people you love to control your choices? Share your thoughts below. There's more, Logan said, reading the latest update. She's filed for emergency custody of Elijah, claiming I'm an unfit father and you're an unstable influence. When Eleanor played the recording of Naomi accepting her payoff 7 years ago, Logan heard something his mother missed. The sound of a woman's heart breaking as she sacrificed everything for love. Sometimes the most painful truth is that love made someone leave, not the absence of it. The hotel room felt like a courtroom as Naomi paced by the window, her silhouette sharp against the Charlotte skyline. Elijah was finally asleep in the bedroom, exhausted from a day that no 6-year-old should have to endure. You want the truth? Naomi said, not turning around. Fina, let me tell you about the night I took your mother's money. Logan sat on the edge of the couch, every muscle tense. Naomi, no, you need to hear this. She finally faced him, tears threatening but not falling. I was 8 weeks pregnant and scared out of my mind. Your father had just had his heart attack. You were working 18-hour days trying to save the company, and I couldn't even keep food down long enough to think straight. 7 years dissolved as she spoke, their old apartment coming alive in memory. Morning coffee shared in bed, dreams whispered against pillows, future planned and passionate promises. I went to your mother because I thought she'd help me figure out how to tell you. How to break the news that we were going to be parents when your whole world was falling apart. What did she say? She said I was selfish, that getting pregnant when you were under so much pressure was the most thoughtless thing I could have done. Naomi's voice cracked. She showed me the medical bills, the company debt, the pressure you were under. Then she offered me a choice. Logan's hands clenched into fists. What choice? Take the money and disappear? Or watch your family lose everything because you were distracted by a girlfriend and a baby you couldn't afford to support? That's not. She had financial projections, Logan. Spreadsheets showing how the company would fail if you didn't focus completely on saving it. She made it sound like loving me would destroy you. Logan stood and moved toward her, but she held up a hand to stop him. I loved you too much to be the reason you lost everything your father built. So I took the money, told myself it was for the baby's medical expenses, and I left. You should have told me. And what would you have done? Chosen me over your family's legacy? Let your father's company die while you played house with a girl from the wrong side of town? The question hung between them like a challenge. Logan reached for her, and this time she didn't pull away. His hands framed her face, thumbs wiping away tears she hadn't realized were falling. I would have chosen you. Every time, without question, I would have chosen you. The kiss was desperate, 7 years of longing compressed into a single moment. She tasted like tears and regret and something sweeter. Hope, maybe. Her hands fisted in his shirt, pulling him closer as if distance was the enemy they needed to defeat. I tried to return the money, she whispered against his lips. Every penny. She wouldn't take it back. I know. I saw the bank records. They sank onto the couch together, her body fitting against his like a puzzle piece that had been lost and found. His hands traced the stretch marks on her hip, evidence of carrying his child. With reverence that made her breath catch. You're even more beautiful, he whispered against her skin. Have you ever learned that someone's hurtful actions were actually their way of protecting you? Tell me about it in the comments. As they lay intertwined, Logan's phone buzzed with a message that changed everything. Daddy, are you coming to my school play tomorrow? I'm playing a prince who finds his kingdom. Elijah had learned to text. Fame is a double-edged sword. It can build you up or tear you down, but it always reveals who you really are. Logan woke to the sound of helicopter blades chopping through the morning air. Through the hotel window, news vans lined the street like vultures waiting for roadkill. Reporters with camera crews prowled the parking lot, hoping for a glimpse of Charlotte's most scandalous family drama. They found us, Naomi said from the window, voice tight with anxiety. Elijah pressed his face against the glass, eyes wide with confusion. Why are there so many people outside, Mama? They want to ask questions about Daddy, Naomi said carefully. But we don't have to talk to them. Logan's phone had been buzzing nonstop since 5 a.m. Calls from reporters, board members, competitors smelling blood in the water. But the message that stopped his heart was from Elijah's school. Due to media presence, we're keeping Elijah inside during recess for his safety. His 6-year-old son was essentially under siege because of adult problems he couldn't understand. This ends now, Logan said, grabbing his jacket. Where are you going? To fix this. The press conference was supposed to be in the Bite River lobby, but Logan changed the location at the last minute. Instead, he stood on the steps of Elijah's elementary school, camera flashes turning the morning into lightning as he faced the crowd of reporters. My name is Logan Pierce, and I want to set the record straight about my family. The questions came like gunfire. Is it true you abandoned your pregnant girlfriend? Are you paying child support? What about the allegations that Ms. Williams is a gold digger? Logan held up his hand for silence. 7 years ago, I made the biggest mistake of my life. Not because I got someone pregnant. That little boy is the best thing that's ever happened to me. I made a mistake because I trusted the wrong person and lost the right ones. He could see Naomi watching from the hotel window across the street, Elijah beside her. Naomi Williams is not a gold digger. She's a registered nurse who works double shifts to pay for her son's school supplies. She's never asked me for a dime. In fact, she returned every penny of money she was given to leave town because her integrity means more than financial security. A reporter shouted, "What about Bite River's security breach? The person who sabotaged my company did it to manipulate me, to force me to choose between being a father and being a CEO. But here's what they didn't understand. Being a father makes me a better man, and better men build better companies." Logan looked directly into the camera, speaking past the reporters to the people watching at home. I lost 6 years of my son's life because someone decided they knew what was best for my family. I won't lose another day. How would you handle sudden fame and public judgment of your personal life? Would you fight back or stay silent? The interview seemed successful until the reporter's final question. Mr. Pierce, given your mother's involvement in separating your family, will you be pressing charges? Logan's answer would determine everything. My mother will face the consequences of her actions. But my focus isn't on punishment. It's on protecting my family and building the future we should have had all along. The interview seemed successful until the reporter's final question. Mr. Pierce, given your mother's involvement in separating your family, will you be pressing charges? Logan's answer would determine everything. Justice and family don't always align. Sometimes you have to choose which one matters more. The courthouse steps became a battleground where family secrets were currency and childhood innocence was collateral damage. Logan climbed those steps with his lawyer on one side and Naomi on the other, while photographers captured every moment for the evening news. Eleanor's legal team had filed first. Emergency custody petition claiming Logan was an unfit father and Naomi was an unstable influence. They'd painted a picture of a reckless billionaire and a manipulative woman using a child as a paycheck. But Logan's lawyer, Patricia Rodriguez, was a shark in a tailored suit who specialized in family law and had never lost a custody case. They're going to try to destroy your character, Patricia warned as they walked into the courtroom. Your mother's team will paint this as a billionaire playboy, suddenly playing daddy for publicity. The courtroom was packed. Eleanor sat in the front row, surrounded by lawyers, her silver hair perfect, her expression serene as if she were attending a charity luncheon instead of trying to steal her grandson. Judge Sarah Martinez called the court to order. This is a custody hearing, not a media circus. I want facts, not theatrics. Eleanor's lawyer stood first. Your Honor, Logan Pierce has shown no interest in this child for 6 years. Now, suddenly, in the middle of a corporate crisis, he wants to play father. This isn't about love. It's about public relations. Logan watched Naomi's jaw clench. They were attacking her too, calling her an opportunistic woman who kept the child's existence secret to leverage a better payout later. When Patricia stood to respond, her voice cut through the courtroom like a blade. Your Honor, my client didn't know about his son because Eleanor Pierce paid the mother $200,000 to disappear. We have bank records, signed agreements, and recorded conversations proving Mrs. Pierce orchestrated this separation. The judge's eyebrows rose. Mrs. Pierce, is this accurate? Eleanor's composure cracked slightly. I was protecting my son from a relationship that would have destroyed his future. By paying a pregnant woman to vanish? By offering financial assistance to a struggling young woman who needed help making the right choice. Logan felt rage building in his chest, but Naomi's hand found his under the table, steadying him. The proceedings stretched for hours. Financial records, character witnesses, psychological evaluations. Eleanor's team brought up every mistake Logan had ever made. The college DUI, the failed relationships, the workaholic tendencies. But then Patricia called her surprise witness. I'd like to call Elijah Pierce to the stand. The courtroom gasped. Children rarely testified in custody cases, but Elijah walked to the witness stand with the same confidence he'd shown meeting Logan for the first time. Elijah, the judge said gently, do you know why you're here? Yes, ma'am. People are fighting about who gets to take care of me. And what do you think about that? Elijah looked around the courtroom, his eyes stopping on Logan. Then Naomi, then Eleanor. I think grown-ups make things too complicated. I just want my mama and daddy to stop being sad. Have you ever had to fight the legal system for your family? What kept you going during the toughest moments? Judge Martinez made her decision that afternoon. I'm awarding joint custody to Mr. Pierce and Ms. Williams, with a restraining order against Eleanor Pierce pending investigation of her interference. Victory felt hollow when Logan's CFO delivered the final blow. The board voted. You're out as CEO, effective immediately. But Elijah's drawing on his desk, my hero daddy, reminded him what really mattered. Losing everything you thought you wanted could be the first step toward getting everything you actually need. 6 months after losing Bite River, Logan stood in the kitchen of their new house, making pancakes while Elijah sat at the counter drawing his latest masterpiece. The house wasn't a mansion, just a 3-bedroom colonial in a quiet neighborhood where kids rode bikes in the street and neighbors actually knew each other's names. Daddy, you're burning them again, Elijah said without looking up from his artwork. Logan flipped the pancake, revealing a charcoal black surface. I'm still learning, buddy. Mama makes them better. Mama makes everything better. Naomi walked into the kitchen, hair still damp from her shower, wearing scrub for her new job at Charlotte Presbyterian. She'd been promoted to head nurse in the pediatric ward, a position that paid well enough that Logan didn't have to worry about supporting them while he figured out his next move. Morning, she said, stealing a piece of bacon from the plate. How's the job search going? 3 interviews this week. 2 callbacks. Logan poured fresh batter into the pan. Though I think they're more interested in my failure story than my success resume. The fall from grace had been swift and public. Vitriver's new CEO had driven the company into the ground within 4 months, proving Logan's leadership had been more valuable than anyone realized. But by then, Logan had moved on. Good, Naomi said, surprising him. Good that I failed. Good that you're not the same man who measured his worth in stock prices. She wrapped her arms around his waist from behind, her body warm against his back. I like this version better. Logan leaned into her touch, still amazed that she was here, that they were here together. After everything Eleanor had put them through, after all the lawyers and court hearings and media storms, they'd chosen each other. I've been thinking, Logan said, turning in her arms, about starting something new. Not another tech company, but something that matters. Like what? A foundation. For single mothers who need legal help, medical assistance, childcare support. All the things you needed 7 years ago that nobody offered. Naomi's eyes lit up. That's amazing. I want to call it the Elijah Foundation, after the little boy who taught his father what really matters. Elijah looked up from his drawing. I get a foundation named after me. You get a foundation that helps other kids whose parents are struggling. Is that okay with you? Can I help? Logan ruffled his son's hair. I'm counting on it. The doorbell rang, interrupting their family moment. Logan opened it to find a delivery man holding an enormous bouquet of flowers and an official-looking envelope. The flowers were from Eleanor, white roses with a card that read, I hope you'll find it in your heart to forgive me. Love, grandmother. The envelope was from the district attorney's office. Eleanor's trial was set to begin in 3 weeks. Wire fraud, corporate espionage, interference with custody arrangements. The charges were serious enough to put her away for years. What do you want to do? Naomi asked, reading over his shoulder. Logan looked at his son, who was showing him the drawing he'd been working on. 3 stick figures holding hands in front of a house with a big tree and a dog they didn't have yet. What does having it all really mean to you? Is it career success or family happiness? Or can you have both? I want to focus on what we're building, not what she tried to destroy. The ring Logan pulled from his pocket wasn't the same one from 7 years ago. This one was chosen with knowledge of who Naomi had become, not just who she used to be. The first time he proposed, it was about love. This time, it was about choosing love every single day. The beach house in Myrtle Beach looked exactly the same as it had 7 years ago when they'd spent their honeymoon there. Same weathered deck, same rope swing hanging from the oak tree, same view of the ocean that stretched toward forever. But they were different people now, stronger, tested by fire and refined by struggle. Why here? Naomi asked as they walked down to the water, Elijah running ahead to chase seagulls. Because this is where we promised to love each other forever the first time, Logan said. I figured it was the right place to do it again. We're already married, technically, on paper, but that marriage was between 2 kids who thought love was enough. This time, I want to marry the woman who survived without me, who raised our son alone, who's strong enough to choose me not because she needs me, but because she wants me. Elijah came running back, sand flying from his sneakers. Daddy, look what I found. He held up a perfect conch shell, pink and white and smooth from years in the ocean. That's beautiful, buddy. Want to help me with something special? Logan knelt in the sand and pulled out the ring box. This time, the ring was different. Not the massive diamond he'd chosen at 25 to show off his success, but a simple band with 3 stones. One for each of them. Elijah, Logan said seriously, I want to ask your mama to marry me again. But this time, I'm asking you to. Because if she says yes, we become a real family. All 3 of us, forever. What do you think? Elijah's eyes went wide. Like officially? Officially. And I can call you Daddy all the time. Not just when we're together, all the time. And we'll live in the same house and have breakfast together, and you'll come to my soccer games. Every single one. Elijah grinned. Ask her. Ask her right now. Logan turned to Naomi, who was watching them with tears streaming down her face. The ocean breeze lifted her hair around her shoulders, and the late afternoon sun turned her skin golden. Naomi Williams Pierce, he said, his voice steady despite the emotion threatening to choke him. 7 years ago, I asked you to marry me because I couldn't imagine living without you. Today, I'm asking you to marry me because I know exactly what living without you feels like, and I never want to do it again. She was crying now, not caring that mascara was probably running down her cheeks. I'm not the same man who let you walk away. I'm not the man who put business before family or let his mother make decisions about his heart. I'm the man who learned that success means nothing if you don't have someone to share it with. He opened the ring box. Will you marry me again? Will you choose me again? Will you build something beautiful with me that nobody can ever take away? Do you believe people can truly change? Would you give someone a second chance after they hurt you deeply? I'm not the same woman who left, Naomi said through her tears. And I'm not the same woman who had to. Maybe that's why this will work. Is that a yes? She launched herself into his arms, kissing him with 7 years of forgiveness and hope and love that had survived everything life threw at it. As they celebrated their engagement, none of them noticed the figure watching from the beach house next door. Eleanor Pierce had one final card to play. Desperation makes people dangerous, especially when they have nothing left to lose. The shopping mall on Saturday afternoon buzzed with families enjoying the weekend. Logan pushed Elijah on the carousel, while Naomi browsed wedding dresses in the window of David's bridal, planning their second wedding with the joy of someone who'd learned not to take happiness for granted. Higher, Daddy, Elijah called from his painted horse. Any higher and you'll fly away, Logan laughed. That's when he saw her. Eleanor Pierce, dressed in dark sunglasses and a baseball cap, standing near the food court. Their eyes met across the crowded mall, and Logan's blood turned cold. She was supposed to be under house arrest, wearing an ankle monitor, awaiting trial. But the woman watching them had no visible restraints. Logan's phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. Bring Naomi to the parking garage. Level 3. Come alone, or the boy comes with me. He looked around frantically, but Eleanor had vanished. His heart hammered as he scanned the crowd, looking for his mother's silver hair, her expensive clothes, any sign of where she'd gone. Naomi, he called, running toward the bridal shop. She turned, smile fading when she saw his expression. What's wrong? We need to leave. Now. Logan, you're scaring me. My mother's here. She has Elijah. The words hit Naomi like a physical blow. They both turned toward the carousel, but Elijah's painted horse was empty, spinning without its rider. Elijah, Naomi screamed, her voice cutting through the mall noise like a knife. Shoppers stopped and stared as Logan and Naomi ran through the crowd, calling their son's name. Security guards appeared, walkie-talkies crackling with codes and alerts. Logan's phone rang. Eleanor's voice was calm, controlled, terrifyingly reasonable. He's safe, Logan. For now. Where is he? Parking garage, level 3. You and Naomi come alone, or I disappear with my grandson and you'll never see either of us again. The parking garage felt like a tomb. Their footsteps echoed off concrete walls as they climbed to level 3, each floor taking them further from help, deeper into Eleanor's trap. She was waiting by her Mercedes, Elijah standing beside her with tears on his cheeks, but unharmed. Her ankle monitor lay broken on the ground, the GPS device smashed beyond repair. Grandmother Eleanor says we're going on a trip, Elijah said, voice small and confused. Let him go, Logan said, stepping forward. I'm saving him, Eleanor replied. From a life of scandal, from parents who prioritize drama over stability. He deserves better. How far would you go to protect your child? What would you sacrifice to keep your family safe? He deserves his parents. With Eleanor finally in custody, Logan thought their troubles were over until Elijah's innocent question changed everything. Daddy, Will you have more babies with Mama? Sometimes the greatest gift isn't getting back what you lost. It's discovering what you can build together. 1 year later, Logan stood in the nursery they'd painted together, watching Naomi rock their newborn daughter to sleep. The walls glowed soft yellow in the morning light, hand-painted constellations spanning the ceiling. Not just random stars, but the actual night sky from the evening they'd reunited at the bus stop. "She looks like you," Naomi whispered, adjusting baby Grace's pink blanket. "She has your stubborn chin," Logan replied, running a gentle finger over his daughter's cheek. Grace Eleanor Pierce, named for the Grace that had brought their family back together, with Eleanor as a middle name because Logan believed in redemption, even for people who'd caused pain. His mother was serving 2 years for her crimes, but she'd been writing letters of apology that Logan wasn't ready to read yet. "Daddy, is she awake?" Elijah appeared in the doorway, still in his Spider-Man pajamas, hair sticking up in every direction. "Just fell asleep, buddy. Come meet your sister properly." 7-year-old Elijah approached with the careful reverence children reserve for babies and broken things. He'd been asking for a sibling since the day Logan came back into his life, drawing pictures of himself as a big brother, making plans for all the things he'd teach baby's sister when she arrived. Gresha Iwisparat. I'm your big brother Elijah. I'm going to teach you how to ride bikes and catch fireflies and draw pictures of dinosaurs. But first, you have to learn how to sleep through the night so Mama doesn't look so tired. Naomi laughed softly. "I don't look tired. Mama, you fell asleep in your cereal yesterday. That was one time." Logan wrapped his arms around his family. All of them, his whole world contained in one perfect nursery moment. The Elijah Foundation was thriving, helping dozens of families navigate legal challenges, medical crises, and custody battles. Naomi had been promoted again, now directing pediatric nursing education for the entire hospital system. They'd built something beautiful from broken pieces. "I have something to tell you both," Logan said, pulling an envelope from his pocket. "Remember how I said I wanted to do more than just run a foundation?" "Logan, what did you do?" Naomi asked, recognizing his mischievous tone. "I bought a house, a big one, with room for the foundation offices, space for support groups, and enough bedrooms for all the kids we're going to have." "All the kids?" Naomi raised an eyebrow. "Well, maybe 2 more. 3 tops. What makes a wedding meaningful to you? The ceremony or the commitment? Share your thoughts on what marriage really means." As they danced their first dance as a remarried couple 6 months ago, Logan had whispered something in Naomi's ear that made her laugh and cry at the same time. "This time, I'm never letting go." As they watched their children play, Logan whispered something in Naomi's ear that made her laugh and cry at the same time. The secret he shared would change how they told their love story forever. 5 years later, the rainy bus stop where it all began had become their family's favorite story, the day Daddy found his way home. Logan pushed Grace on the swing while 12-year-old Elijah played catch with their youngest, 3-year-old Marcus, named after the private investigator who'd helped bring their family together. The playground where Logan had first awkwardly pushed Elijah on swings now echoed with the laughter of 3 children, their voices creating the symphony he never knew he needed. "Tell the story again, Daddy," Grace demanded, her 4-year-old voice serious with the importance of family history. "Which story, Princess?" "The bus stop story. When you found me and Eli." Logan smiled. Grace hadn't been there, of course, but in her mind, she'd always been part of their origin story. Children had a way of rewriting history to include themselves at the center. "Well," Logan began, slowing her swing. "It was raining really hard, and Daddy was sad because he had lots of money but no family to share it with. Because Grandmother Eleanor was mean," Grace added solemnly. "Because Grandmother Eleanor made mistakes," Logan corrected gently. Eleanor had been released after 18 months, and they'd slowly, carefully built a relationship with clear boundaries. She was allowed supervised visits with the grandchildren, and she'd proven she could love them without trying to control them. "And then you saw Elijah crying," Grace continued, knowing the story by heart. "And then I saw a little boy who looked exactly like me, holding a drawing of his daddy. And Mama was there, and Mama was there, and she was the most beautiful woman Daddy had ever seen, just like always. Naomi walked over from the picnic table where she'd been organizing Marcus's birthday party supplies. At 32, she was more beautiful than ever, confident in a way that came from being loved completely, successful in her career, surrounded by the family she dreamed of during those lonely years raising Elijah alone. "Are you filling their heads with fairy tales again?" she asked, but she was smiling. "It's not a fairy tale if it really happened," Elijah said, jogging over with the football tucked under his arm. At 12, he was tall for his age, with Logan's hazel eyes and Naomi's warm smile. He'd become the bridge between his parents' past and their future, the child who taught them both what love really meant. Besides, Elijah continued, "The best part isn't the beginning. It's what happened after." "What happened after?" little Marcus asked, even though he'd heard this story 100 times. "We became a family," Logan said, pulling Naomi close. "All of us, together, choosing each other every single day." The playground equipment looked different through a father's eyes. Not just swings and slides, but the place where his children would make memories, where they'd learn to be brave, where they'd always know they were loved without conditions or manipulation. So what would you do if life gave you a second chance at your greatest love? Would you take it? Tell me in the comments what this story taught you about forgiveness, family, and fighting for what matters. If this story of second chances and found family touched your heart, smash that like button. Subscribe for more stories that prove love really can conquer all, even the mistakes we make along the way. Comment below, what's the most important lesson you learned from Logan and Naomi's journey? And remember, sometimes the best chapters of your life begin when you think the story is over.